Good afternoon. We are now right at about 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, and I wanted to welcome you all to today's Tech Talk. Today, we are going to be talking a little bit about enhancing customer experiences through personalized service. And for those of you who are new to our Tech Talks, we do this on a monthly basis. It's a monthly live Zoom event, and that's hosted by Axsoft. I am the director of marketing operations at Axsoft, and I've been with the company for about 15 years now. And basically, these Tech Talks are just topics related to anything interesting to field service companies, and it's really as simple as that. But it can get pretty interesting. So we're glad you're with us today, and hopefully you find some real benefit from this, and we're ready to get started. So real quick, I wanted to make sure that I am sharing my correct screen. So I just wanted to check with David, since you're able to speak out. Are you able to see the current PowerPoint? I'm not able to hear you. Looks like you might be on mute.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Excellent.
Audio
No worries.
setting.
Yes. Excellent.
But yes, to answer your question, yes, I can see the PowerPoint.
Okay, perfect.
Good to go.
Excellent. All right. So that's a great segue into introducing David to the Tech Talk here. David, if you wanted to take a moment, I'm actually going to switch over to your screen on the PowerPoint, if I can get it up. Yeah, there it is. All right. I just skipped right over the housekeeping items. Before we do that, we'll go over a couple of housekeeping items. This is a recorded event, even though we are doing it live. We do record all of these events so that we can then have them available for anybody who wants to watch them later on. So if you're watching it later on, awesome, glad to have you. If you're watching it live, just so you know, these are recorded. So if you are doing this live, you can submit any questions that you might have in either the chat or the question and answer area for Zoom. We'll be happy to answer any of those while we're going through. My role today is sort of a host, but also I'll be monitoring those chats as well to see if I can answer anything while David's speaking, so that he doesn't get too off track with anything. And if there's anything that comes up that I cannot answer, because I am certainly not as much of a guru on the customer experience side as David is, I will kick some of those over to him at the end of the chat. Or at the end of the Tech Talk, excuse me. So now we are on to introducing today's guest, which is David Livermore. He is the supervisor for the customer experience team. And why don't you introduce yourself a little bit, David?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Scott. Appreciate it. So as you can see, my name is David Livermore. Current position at Axsoft is, I'm a supervisor for the customer experience team. And I've worked in customer experience kind of my whole career. It's kind of where I started. And it's something that I just kind of had a passion for, working with customers, working with people, and just kind of delivering the best experience that I can. And so I've been able to kind of grow in that field. And, I've been able to be blessed with, leading a team and trying to, show them and give them experiences on how to, provide a good customer experience and all that good stuff. So I've been with the company I've been with Axsoft for over 6 years now. So, I'm really enjoying it. So.
Awesome. Well, we're really happy to have you on today's Tech Talk, David. Really appreciate you coming on and explaining some more about this stuff. So we're gonna jump right into it. I am actually gonna go back to our I'm actually going to jump back to our main screen, because that has the name of our Tech Talk on it, which is once again, enhancing customer experiences through personalized service. And so let's jump right into it, and we'll talk a little bit about what is customer experience, and why is it so essential for field service companies to prioritize? you know, back in the day, it used to be called, just regular customer service, but now it's really evolved into this entire customer experience. And we really, why is that so important for companies to make sure that it is top of their priority list, David?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, customer experience is basically, it's every interaction that a customer has with your company or your brand, over a period of time, right? As opposed to customer service, like you mentioned back in the day, customer service is really just one specific interaction that somebody might have with your company, or one specific event that takes place. But a customer experience is really about the longevity, right? It's about the long term. We want to provide an experience for you over time that's consistent and that's the same. And we can provide that great customer service every single time that we interact with you or you interact with us. um, and so, why it's so essential, especially for any company really, but for field service companies as well, to prioritize a customer experience, is because um, that's really how you kind of retain your customers over a long period of time, right? Talking about longevity, we don't want to just go and provide a great service, one day, and then maybe the next time we come around, the service isn't as great, or something happens along that road. You could have a customer that has a great experience with you one time, and then, down the road, it kind of trickles down, and the service kind of falls. And so that experience that they have would at that point not be as great as you would want it to be. So that's kind of where the customer experience falls into play. Um, and that initial interaction is always super important, right? You want to be upfront. First time a customer interacts with your company or your brand, you want it to be the best possible experience that they have right off the bat. That's always key. But it's always, in order to keep a customer, you want to be consistent, and you want to, continue that experience every single time they call or need something. It's really important, for the lifetime value of a customer and everything like that. So, um, for field service companies specifically, I would say, some of the ways that, you can improve customer experience. I'm assuming a lot of these field service companies probably have service calls or something along those lines, right? Where you're going out to do, maybe it's an installation, maybe it's a repair, or general maintenance over time. You could also have, emergency service calls where customer might need you to go out there as soon as possible. Um, and so, some ways that you can kind of prioritize it and make sure that, you're always consistently providing a good customer experience would be, maybe even before service calls, having a way to schedule on-site visits in advance. Um, that'll kind of help you keep a schedule for your customers, make sure that you're always, within that time window of when you said that you're going to be there. So, being on time to those customer appointments is always key. You don't want to, some companies, I'm sure you've probably experienced this, Scott, where, some companies may go out and say, okay, hey, we'll be there on Sunday to service your AC unit or whatever it may be. And they'll be like, yeah, we'll be there anywhere between 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. And so it's like, oh, great. Now I can't leave the house on Sunday because I don't know when they're going to be there. So having, a tool like that where you can put schedules in place and line everything up will really allow you to have, smaller windows for customers, and you can be a lot more accurate and specific about when you're going to be out there. Um, you know, enhancing, let's say during a service call, maybe you've got a guy out in the field, he's already working on something, having a tool to have that guy have, enhancing uh, the field to office communication, so given a clear path for your guy out in the field to communicate with somebody in the office. Maybe there's some communication that needs to happen in order to get something done. You can do that through messaging or through, wireless form submissions, things like that. Um, and maybe there's an emergency call, right? So being able to see who is the closest field worker out in the field to a customer who's calling in saying that they have a massive leak and it's an emergency. It's important. Being able to see who's closest to that guy and being able to dispatch something out to that guy and have them go on site immediately, that could mean saving a customer for life. I mean, if you have an emergency situation that you're able to tackle quickly, I think those are really important. Um, and then even let's say after the service, having the ability to, take payments on site, have customers, sign off on the work, provide a signature, maybe the field guys can take photos before and after what was completed, that you could keep for like a customer client profile, different things like that. And it also gives customers the ability to provide feedback, um, that can really be valuable to you to know what you can improve on as far as customer experience is concerned. Um, so hopefully that kind of gives a general breakdown of why it would be important for field service companies to prioritize customer experience, because it's really about the longevity and keeping that customer's business you know for as long as you can. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great way of kind of putting it with the breakdown before of the before, during, and after, where each one of those elements kind of comes together in order to keep a customer experience a phenomenal thing, and something that they'll want to continue with your company. And we all know with today's internet age, and how easy it is to write reviews for companies, and make sure, I know that whenever I'm looking for a new company in order to do something, I'm constantly looking at reviews and seeing what other people have to say about it. And word of mouth is huge. And so being able to keep those customers happy and enhance that experience is going to be just amazing for your overall longevity of the company, and being able to keep that experience something that a customer will want to not only enjoy and keep going to, but maybe even talk about online, and give yourself a reference,
yeah,
which is fantastic. So, very,
absolutely.
very good. And yes, I've to answer your question, I've absolutely been stuck at my house for the entire day while waiting for a service call of extreme magnitude of time. Oh, well,
Right,
I've got
right.
a nice 9-hour window that you could just show up at any time. So,
Right, right, exactly.
yeah, improving accuracy there is a fantastic. Communication, the whole thing that you want to cross. So yeah, let's get a little bit more into the details on how we can improve that customer experience, and we'll get a little bit more into that. So by providing personalized service, how does that really enhance the customer experience with the personalized aspect of it?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to personalized service, I think it's a big part of providing an exceptional customer experience every time. One of the key things for that is taking the time to get to know your customer and what their needs are. That can really go a long way. Finding out what the customer's preferences are, how they prefer to be contacted, all these different things. Maybe what their schedules are, what's the best time to schedule, maintenance in the future. Doing different things like that can really go a long way. It really, that, like I said, that carries over into, future, if you're doing maintenance down the road or if there's annual visits, anything like that. Getting to know the customer better and what they might need, um, and making it kind of fit around their schedule, is usually a good thing to try and do as well. It, really shows that you value the customer, you value their time and their business, and, want to be respectable in that manner. So another big thing is being able to adapt to customers' needs over time, right? Because customers' needs change. They may call you for one thing and maybe it's consistent, but maybe there's upgrades or other things that need to take place out in the field, that maybe they're expanding or, anything like that. Those are definitely things to kind of keep in mind so that you can be mindful of those things and you can, maybe even provide a better service up front, when it comes to adapting to customers' needs as they grow or as time goes on, if they're using your product and things like that. Um, I know one example could be, I'm sure we've all got a cable company, right? Where you're getting service or you're moving to a new house or a new location, you're changing your address, things like that happen. And that's when they're kind of asking you, oh, how many rooms do you got? What's your square footage? Are you looking to expand, different things like that? And that's how those types of companies kind of adapt to those changes and they're able to provide you with the best package or whatever it may be at that point. That doesn't necessarily apply to field service companies, but they do have to go out and service, you know, addresses or home locations and things like that. So that's one example to kind of take away of being adaptive and things like that. Um, Another big thing is making sure that they have the easiest way of getting in touch with you when they need something. An important thing is like short hold times, um, minimal transferring of calls. It's usually ideally to have like a one-stop shop. If they call your support team, have it a one-stop shop, get their questions answered and or service scheduled, whatever it may be, without having to bounce around to different departments and areas like that. Um, and of course, after hour support for emergencies is pretty big as well. I'm sure Scott, we could probably relate again. I'm sure we've had a time where we've had to call somebody for some service and we've sat on hold for 2 hours before we finally just give up, or maybe we call back in and we sit on hold for another 45 minutes. And so those things can kind of get frustrating when you're looking at a customer experience standpoint. Um, and then the other thing that can happen too, I know it's happened to me, I'm sure it's happened to you, where you finally get the guy on the line and you're explaining your situation, and then they're like, "Oh, well, I got to get you over to the other guy. He's the guy that can help you with that." So, and then you have to repeat yourself again and all those other things. So trying to make it a one-stop shop for your customers calling in to get support is really big. Um,
Yeah, it's
and then finally, regular follow-ups, just checking in to see how things are working. Hey, customer, I know we just serviced your AC unit, wanted to check in, make sure things are cool, everything's good to go. Offering additional assistance based on whatever their client profile is, different things like that. And all of those things can add to a more personalized experience for customers that they make them want to feel they feel like they're valued and they want to stick around. So
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually have a couple of examples of exactly what you were talking about. I recently switched over to a different insurance provider and had a little bit of a mix up there. So I had to call into support and, like you said, asking the right questions when you first get on the line with the customer support representative is essential because there was multiple times that I had to call in, and each time they didn't ask me the right questions. I went into the explanation of what was going on. And then after I did all of that, oh, well, that's not my department. I'm with home insurance. You actually need car insurance. And let me get you to them. So then I had to explain everything all over again. So
right.
absolutely, that is
It can get
definitely a
frustrating,
key
right?
thing.
It's
It
yeah.
really did. Yeah, yeah. And not frustrating to the point where I was upset, but frustrating to, man, I could have used that time back. So
And
uh,
that's where the customer experience comes into play too. Because if it's like that every single time you call, then
absolutely.
that's when your experience is like, well, it was great in the beginning, but now every time I call, I've got to get transferred around 4 different times. And so that's where that experience starts to fall down. And that's when
Exactly.
you know, end
Yeah,
up looking elsewhere because every time you have to call them, it's like, oh no, I don't know what's gonna happen. So
right, right. And those things are something that can be easily fixed in just the process. So it's not really the customer service representative's fault. It's just a process of how it's going through. So asking the
exactly.
right questions, getting the right answers, and providing that service is great. Um,
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And then the other example that I had, which is a great one of personalized experience, was I have a lawn care service that they come out and they spray our lawn for weeds and other things. And I had an account with them a while back. and they were doing some work for us. Then we had to cancel the account, and we came back about a year later. Well, in their notations for the customer, they already knew what we were actually looking to do, like what type of weeds we had issues with, how big our square footage of our lawn was, et cetera. So we had already gone through all of that process, and they had it notated, and that gave us that really nice personalized experience of, man, you guys remember us, you know us, it's something that really kind of put an extra touch on that customer experience that made it things that much easier. So absolutely, that's
Yeah.
fantastic stuff. So
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it sounds like they built out, like I said before, like a client profile.
mhm,
And so they have all your history there and everything like that. And that's how they're able to kind of personalize things for you, which is great. So that's
absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So, so what are some ways that some field service organizations can, what are some things that they can do in order to prevent poor customer experiences? I know that we already sort of talked about having the right communication, but let's expand upon that just a little bit more if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like in this day and age, customers, a big thing customers are looking for is really just convenience, quick response times and consistency. Right. So, um, one of the ways, that you can prevent having a poor customer experience is, you could try to fit in more customer visits per day or month, by using like a digital dispatching solution. That one of those things can help. Using an application for field workers to capture and submit, the on-site work that was done. Again, taking photos, having all that stuff kind of submitted right away and saved onto client profile, keeping customers' history, having all that good stuff ready to go so customers don't have to explain. Oh yeah, if somebody calls in and they have to explain to you what was done last, you should probably already know what was done last based on what was, the field worker submitted from the field. So that's a good way to kind of prevent that. um, it also gives customers a way to, provide feedback with surveys and other things like that, which is pretty good. And that kind of helps you grow, and improve with your processes and everything like that. um, again, talking about convenience, making it super easy to get in touch with you or someone who can answer your questions about a repair or a scheduling service, or even if there's an emergency. Again, having visibility over your field workers to get someone on the site as quickly as possible. Those are some things. I know when it comes to emergencies, especially down here in Florida. I mean, if the AC goes out down here, we're dying, man. We need somebody we need somebody out yesterday fixing
Yeah.
this thing. So emergencies are a big one. Having visibility over your fleet or your guys out in the field is big. Really help you save time on that, and um, being able to respond to those very quickly. Um, and then, consistency, right? So just frequent follow-ups to check in or offer assistance. um, you know Even personalized follow-ups, based on the customer's needs or wants, it can go a long way with keeping customers happy and making them feel like, okay, cool, well, I don't ever even have to call this company because I know that they're going to call me every month on this day and ask me how things are going, and if I have an issue, maybe I can let them know then. But those are some of the things, um, that you can do to prevent a bad customer experience, because at that point the customer's already your number one priority, so you're already taking care of them ahead of time by doing these things and working on these things. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's all really, really great points. So, and I can absolutely attest to the Florida super hot when the AC goes out, man, oh man. Yeah, and I will say that the company that I use for my AC repair, because I did have the issue here about a year ago, where my AC just was not it wasn't cool in the house. And we did have a repair done, and like you were saying before, they followed up and continue to follow up with us with reminders about maintenance, just checking in, seeing how things are going, even coupons for service, saying do you need a regular maintenance uh, repair done, to have an AC check or something along those lines. They'll send us coupons about it, or specials that they have going on, to just help keep you top of mind, and to really make sure that that customer experience is something fantastic. And one of the things that we always say in marketing is, and it's absolutely true, is it's 5 times harder to get a new customer than it is to keep a current one. So really being able to enhance that experience and keep that customer as a lifetime customer is, I mean, it's just immeasurable how much that can really affect a company. So that's fantastic. So kind of wanted to jump a little bit down into so Axoft, our company, and our solution Teamworks offers some things that can help provide excellent customer experience. And maybe we can talk a little bit about what some of those things are, and how those can play into providing that personalized experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so when it comes to Axoft and Teamworks, there's a ton of things that we have to offer that can really help improve and make sure that you're consistently providing an exceptional customer experience every time. Again, some of the things we've already talked about, but I'll go into some other things too. We have with GPS tracking, making sure field workers are on site when they need to be, and taking the most efficient routes to get where they need to go. That can help you cut down on gas. It's also going to make sure guys are getting there on time when they need to be. Not spending time at a gas station or something when they're not supposed to be, right? Keeping an eye on that. Job dispatching is another big one. This is where scheduling comes into play, and maintaining that consistent follow up with customers. And it's also good for emergency situations as well, where customers need help ASAP. You can always create that ticket, dispatch it out to a guy out in the field, whoever's closest to that location. He'll get it on his device, and he can just drive right over there and offer that assistance quickly. So that's a pretty big one. Again, wireless forms we have. So getting rid of paperwork and loss of data. I know that there's still companies out there to this day that use paperwork, right? They show up to your house with a clipboard with all the paper on it. They're checking off all the boxes and having you sign things. That stuff can get lost on the way back to the office, and then you've got to go back and have the customer sign everything again because we lost the data or anything like that. So being able to do that on a wireless form on a device, it's quick, it's painless, it's very easy to use, and it can be submitted straight to the office right from the job site. So,
Such a great way to eliminate mistakes too, just
oh,
being able to.
absolutely.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about that wireless forms process is that you can set things up that has to do with conditional logic. So, let's say that you're an AC guy repairing something at a customer's house, and you're only working on a certain section. Well, you want to be able to list out what are the parts that you need for that particular model. Well, we have something in place where you can actually set it up so that it only gives you the right parts for that particular brand or model, so that you're not making those mistakes and then ordering the wrong part. Next thing you know, you wait a week for the part to come in, you go back out to the customer in order to install, or however long it may be, and you've got the wrong part and you have to do it all over again. So fixing
Right.
those mistakes can be a huge help. And
Yeah.
like you just said, just the speed of not having to drive back to the office with paperwork, or I've been to customer sites before where they've actually had built bulletin boards full of paper with their jobs for the day, and they've got this big stack, and it's like, how do you keep that in organized and
Yeah.
just not losing it, and the whole nine. It's
Right.
amazing how much a simple thing like that can make a huge difference. So that's, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a big one.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to keep all those things in a filing cabinet or something somewhere. I mean,
Yeah,
it also takes time to go and have to pull that stuff up if you need to reference things in the past. And, the other benefit of Teamworks is you also have the ability to edit all of those submissions on the back end once they're already submitted. So, I know you mentioned having a list in there that's accurate so you can't mess up.
hmm,
And even if the wrong part was selected, you have the ability to go in there and edit that and adjust it on the back end. And then you can send, the invoice or the whatever it would be to send out to the customer so that the service that was provided is accurate, everything like that. So that's another good one.
absolutely.
um, Additional services like, mobile timekeeping, that's a really big one. I mean, I know for a fact that there's still customers out there that use the honor system. You know, oh, I'll take your word for it. You were out there at 9 a.m. and you know I'll take your word that you were there all the time and didn't take a 2 hour lunch break or anything like that. So, this is where you can kind of really make sure that your guys are out there. It's also going to help with customer experience, right? Because, a lot of companies out there still use, a timekeeping system where the guys may have to drive from their house to the office and clock in. With the mobile timekeeping piece, these guys can drive it. They can clock in, straight from their house when they pull out of the driveway, or maybe right when they get to a customer's job site, they can clock in. So that's going to allow them to get to customer locations quicker. You're going to have a better turnaround time for servicing your customers out in the field and everything like that. And it also helps you to calculate job time. And that can also come into play when you're going to invoice a customer, because I'm sure there's labor costs, things like that come into play. So being able to see exactly, when your guy clocked in on the job site, when he clocked out, that's going to give you an accurate measure of how long your guy was out there servicing, a customer. So that's another big one as well. Um,
Absolutely. So David, we're coming close to the end of our time here, and but I did want to talk about one final thing, which I think is really important for the customer, personalized customer experience, which is mobile payments, and how much that can be a big game changer for field service. So maybe if we can touch on that just before we close up here.
yeah, absolutely. Mobile payments is a big one. Um, it's being able to charge the customer for service right on the spot, and even generate an invoice out to them, maybe to their email, or whatever it may be. It just makes things quick and convenient for customers, right? Going back to uh, things being convenient. Customers, you don't want to have to wait for an invoice in the mail or something weeks later from the service. A lot of customers like to just get it taken care of right on the spot. So, we do have the ability to provide mobile payments. And so that's something that you can just build right into a form. You can go through all the service that was provided, have the customer sign off on the service. And then right afterwards, you can direct them to, a mobile payment form where they can enter in their card information, and make the payment right there on the spot. So it really, helps to make things quicker, right? And there's less work that you have to do on the back end when it comes to that as well, because your field technician out in the field can just kind of take care of that entire service from beginning to end, and then all you would need to do on the back end is just go in and verify that everything was done, and that's where that kind of comes into play. So
Yeah, fantastic. That's really something that I find phenomenal when I have service guys come out and I can just take care of it all right then and there. I don't have to go back and look for an email and find an invoice or a web portal that I have to go into in order to pay for
yeah.
the service that I had done. It's just all done right there, which is fantastic.
Or you don't have to worry about going to the ATM to get cash. I mean,
That's
I know
that too. Oh
some
yes,
people do that too. So
that
that's a
is
big one.
absolutely true. Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, fantastic. Well, I just wanted to close off by thanking everybody for attending to today's Tech Talk. I know we went a little bit over on time, so thank you for sticking around with us. And thank you to David for the phenomenal information that you provided. I feel like we could talk about this for quite a lot longer. We kind of just skimmed the
Yeah.
surface on some of this stuff, but we definitely have a passion for this. I can tell you love it, and so do I.
Yeah.
So it's great to talk about it. And if you guys have any questions, either watching this live or on the recording, I didn't see any questions pop up in the chat today. But if you have anything that you want to get in touch with us on, you can do so by getting in touch with Axoff through the URL that's at the bottom of the screen here. And well, actually, let me make sure I have it on the bottom of the screen because I am not looking at the right thing. Let's see. Oops. And what did I do? Screen sharing stopped. Oh boy. Okay. I messed up there. Okay, 1 second. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, while you're pulling that up, Scott, one thing I did want to end by saying is just, the good thing about Teamworks is that it is an all-in-one solution. And that's really where it comes to be extremely valuable, because I know that there's companies out there that they use one service for timekeeping, they use one service for forms or doing something else, another service for dispatching. And so the good thing about it, it's an all-in-one solution. So it's all right there in an easy to use ecosystem. Um, with one login, you don't have to worry about going to several different places. So
Absolutely. And having all that integrated into one is it's fantastic. Being able to do your job dispatching, your mobile timekeeping, GPS tracking with geo fences, all of that, integrated into a single map, and being able to see where all your guys are. And like you were talking about before, that one of the big ones was, making sure that if you do have an emergency, you're able to see what guys can get to that location as quickly as possible and take care of that emergency, and make a customer for life. So yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I believe we have the right screen now. So if you'd like to get in touch with us for any reason, and want to know a little bit more about Teamworks or Axoft overall, please visit us at axoft.com/teamworks, or the number on the screen here of 888-732-6638. And we'd be happy to help you out with any questions that you have, or giving you a quick demo, or just showing you around. So thank you so much for attending, and we will catch you on the next Tech Talk. Thanks, guys.
absolutely. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks. Bye-bye.